Welcome to today's news briefing. Up next, we'll take a look at the latest developments unfolding across the world's major hotspots.
Event number 1. President Zelensky visits Ukrainian pilots training F-16 fighters in Romania. Event number 2. Ukrainian defense forces successfully destroyed occupied Russian air defense systems. Event number 3. Lithuanian intelligence warns Russia of military consolidation near NATO borders, threatening the region.
And now, for the details.
President Volodymyr Zelensky met with Ukrainian pilots undergoing training at a European F-16 training center in Romania. According to the Associated Press, Zelensky visited the center in Fetesti on Thursday as part of his trip to Romania. The presidential press service stated that Zelensky discussed the specifics of the training and the challenges the pilots are facing. At the center, the pilots are being trained in both theory and practical skills. The training center in Romania has been operational since 2023. Ukrainian pilots began their training here in September 2024. Special operations units from the Security Service of Ukraine destroyed Russian air defense systems in Crimea and in occupied territories in the southeastern Zaporizhzhia region. Footage of the operation was released on social media, showing precision strikes against Russian military targets in various areas along the front line. Among the targets hit were a Buk M1 self-propelled medium-range surface-to-air missile system, the Azovska and Dzhankoi oil depots in illegally annexed Crimea, a logistics depot, and a fuel and lubricants warehouse in Zaporizhzhia. The attacks, carried out with Ukrainian FP2 drones, highlight a significant shortage of Russian ground-based defense systems in some frontline areas. The increasing number of Ukrainian drones deployed within visual range of Russian forces is also straining the invaders' defense system. Previous reports indicated that on March 10th, Ukrainian forces also conducted successful strikes on the Crimea microelectronics plant in Bryansk using Storm Shadow missiles. Ukraine has intensified its missile and drone strikes against targets deep within Russian territory and in occupied areas of Ukraine. Meanwhile, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported on March 10th that Ukrainian forces engaged Russian troops in 137 clashes across the front over the past day. These forces could become key factors in a future confrontation with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. This was the conclusion of Lithuania's annual intelligence report on security threats, published on Friday. Reuters reported on the matter. Analysts estimate that if international sanctions against Moscow are eased or lifted, the country could prepare for a major military conflict with NATO within about 6 years. The document states that by then, Russia would be able to significantly increase its military size by 30 to 50% compared to its pre-war levels. A large portion of its weaponry would be modernized, and its strategic reserves of equipment and ammunition would be replenished. The report notes that the Kremlin's main objectives remain unchanged, shifting the balance of power in Europe in its favor and establishing full control over Ukraine. Lithuanian intelligence also indicates that Russia's defense sector is actively growing with support from China. This has helped Moscow reduce its dependence on Western technology and continue weapons production despite pressure from sanctions. Analysts believe that after the war, the surplus of weapons could negatively impact global security. Lithuania, which borders both Russia and its ally Belarus, is a member of NATO and the European Union. The country actively supports Ukraine and maintains a firm stance against the Kremlin's policies. The document also mentions a series of mail bombings in 2024. Lithuanian authorities previously blamed Russian military intelligence for these incidents and warned that such attacks could become more dangerous and lead to casualties. Meanwhile, an investigation into damage to gas pipelines, power cables, and communication lines in the Baltic Sea from 2023 has concluded that it was likely not the result of intentional sabotage. Although vessels sailing from Russian ports may be linked to the incidents, the report notes there is no evidence of malicious intent. However, the report does not specify what data led to this conclusion. Following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Baltic states have heightened security measures in response to a series of underwater accidents and infrastructure damage. In response, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization announced its intention to increase its military presence in the region. In 2023, Finland recovered an anchor from the seabed that investigators believe may have belonged to a Chinese container ship. The vessel is suspected of damaging a gas pipeline between Estonia and Finland, as well as several fiber-optic communication cables. The investigation is ongoing, and Finnish authorities have not yet reached a final conclusion as to whether the incident was accidental or intentional. Commenting on the situation to reporters, Mindaugas Mazonas, head of Lithuania's military intelligence, noted that the investigation was not conducted by his agency. However, based on available information, it was likely an unintentional incident. Some experts have previously warned that NATO countries could suffer serious losses in a direct conflict with Russia. They believe the alliance could face challenges similar to those Ukraine is currently experiencing, including issues with evacuating the wounded from the front lines. Furthermore, analysts at Foreign Affairs magazine note that the West will need to significantly change its strategy to defeat Russia in the so-called shadow war. Quote,